Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rise Up for Abortion Rights nationwide webinar. And the title of today's webinar is Overturn Roe, Hell No. I just wanted to start off by wishing a happy Mother's Day to everyone who is a mother that is out there. I know there's a little bit of a conflict today, but this really is important. And motherhood is beautiful, it is wonderful, it is magical, but only when it is a choice, because when it is forced, that is violence. That is what we're calling is female enslavement, and we cannot allow for that to happen. And that's why we're all calling on people to rise up and beat back these attacks on abortion rights. So as we're getting started, we wanted to show a brief video. We're all in the middle of this right now. There's been a lot of movement in the streets, and we wanted to show you a little bit of what that's been looking like nationwide.
The conservative majority of justices preparing to overturn Roe versus Wade.
America has woken up to a new reality today, where a woman's ability to have an abortion is set to no longer be a constitutional right.
I wanted to give a little bit of a brief background on what Rise Up for Abortion Rights is, and give you a little brief itinerary on how this webinar will play out. So we're hosting a webinar with people from across the country who see the dire need to stop the overturning of Roe v. Wade and are taking up the call to take action to do so. We are scheduled to be on for about an hour, but we may spill over a few minutes. Rise Up for Abortion Rights started in January from people who have been a part of this fight for decades, and some people who are new to this fight. And they are all coming together from unique backgrounds and perspectives. And the initiators, the organizers, the volunteers have all been coming together because we all agree that we must stop the Supreme Court from taking away the right to abortion. And only the people have the power to stop this by getting out into the streets. This leak has given us a profound opportunity to take action and drive real change in this decision through mass sustained protests by waking up the people of this country to the crisis and activating them to join us in mass resistance. This draft is not law, and we have the power to prevent it from becoming law, but only if we act swiftly, boldly, and consistently. We've been out sounding the alarm about this before most people even knew what was happening, and we are really happy to have all of you at this meeting who were here from the beginning, and also those of you who are just waking up and joining this fight. And we are so proud of you all for putting in the work, however you can, to sound the alarm and take action. Our program will consist of we're going to have a brief video from one of our initiators, Cinsara Taylor, who gave a speech at Union Square about what is truly possible here and what must be done to stop the Supreme Court from taking away abortion rights. And then we'll also hear from Lori Sokol, one of our initiators, about what is at stake here. And then from Patricia about why we take up the green bandana, as well as some of our students who have been leading walkouts and are calling for consistent walkouts on every Thursday. And then we're also going to touch base on the week of action and the plans for that. So I would like to introduce Cinsara Taylor before we show a video of her speech. Cinsara is a co-host of the RNL Revolution Nothing Less show on YouTube, and is a longtime follower of the revolutionary leader Bob Avakian, and someone who has been on the front lines of the fight for abortion rights for nearly 3 decades. She's a key initiator of riseupforabortionrights.org, and this is a speech that she gave at Union Square on Thursday. It provides important orientation on the organizing Zoom and for the whole moment we are in right now and what must be done.
On Monday night, we all heard the news that the Supreme Court leaked a decision, a draft decision, saying that they are on track, that a majority on the Supreme Court voted back in February, an early vote, that they were going to overturn Roe versus Wade, that they were going to decimate women's fundamental right to abortion. This would be an atrocity. Forcing women to have children against their will is barbaric. It is a form of enslavement. When women are forced to have children against their will, when they are denied the right to abortion, this shatters lives. This forecloses dreams. This drives women into poverty or deeper into poverty. This traps women in abuse. It forces young girls and women to drop out of school, to lose their jobs, to foreclose their future. And it is the state telling women that they are less than fully human. Will we accept this, sisters and brothers and beautiful people? Now I want to stress, this is a draft decision. This is not yet law. And in RiseUpForAbortionRights.org, we've been having rallies. Some of the young people you heard from have been helping organize these rallies, walking out. We saw this coming, but most of this country did not know. And so they were silent and they were not with us in the streets. But since Monday night, this has been in the headlines. This has dominated. Everybody knows. So now is the time, when everybody knows, and this is not yet the law, for us to rise up and stop this from becoming the law. Now is the time to stop the Supreme Court from decimating abortion rights. Now is the time. And I don't want to hear any more bullshit. And you shouldn't accept it either. Where people say, including some of the people who are speaking out against this, who say, oh, we'll hold them accountable in November, after this law, after this right has been taken away. That's right, it is far easier. It is far easier to defend a right while you still have it than to win it back after it has been taken. And let's be real about these elections. They were never on the side of the people, and right now the GOP, the Republicans, is a fully fascist party. They are suppressing votes. They are gerrymandering. They have replaced election officials, and they have proven their willingness to use violence to overturn elections they lose. So let's not have illusions that we'll win this back if we let it be taken now. So I want to hear you answer me. I'm going to say, prepare for post-Roe, and I want you to say, fuck no. Prepare for post-Roe. Prepare for post-Roe. 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 We need to stop this now. And I want to talk about how we do that, beautiful people. I want to talk about how we do that. A big part of how we do that is what you have done today. We walk out of school. We walk off the job. We take over the freeways. We shut this country down. Not for one day of symbolic feel-good venting where then we go back to our regular lives and let this nightmare descend. No. We need to do this relentlessly, again and again. There should be no business as usual when that business is on track to enslave, to subjugate, to brutalize and control women. Hell no! This is why we wear this green bandana. This is the symbol of abortion rights, of fierce struggle in the streets. So I want to talk very concretely about how we do this. Next week, starting this weekend, rolling through the week, RiseUpForAbortionRights.org has called for a week of action, a week of resistance, a week of raising hell, where everybody has to show which side they're on. And you are either in the streets, you are either walking out, you are either shutting down, you are either rising up, or you are saying you are okay with female enslavement. There is no neutral. And it is the unbridled fury of millions and millions of women across this country that needs to be woken up and flood these streets. Millions and millions of women and girls rising up in fury against thousands and thousands of years of patriarchal chains and degradation. All the ways that women for generations and generations have been treated as less than and property of men and baby-making machines and told that your worth is in your virginity and told to be ashamed of your body and your desires and your sexuality and differently gendered people. All of this fury that has been suppressed, that has been suffocated, needs to come out in the streets right the fuck now to stop this. We must not go back. We must not go back. We must not go back. We must not go back.
We must not go back. This is the end of business as usual. This is the start of sustained action. Up next, I would like to introduce one of our student organizers, Bela, one of the student leaders who organized and led the walkout, and to talk about why she did it and why it is important for more students to take this up nationwide. This Thursday as part of the week of action, and every Thursday going forward till we stop the Supreme Court from overturning Roe versus Wade. All right, Bela.
Hi guys. So I'm Bela. I'm 15 years old, and I was part of organizing the strike, the school strike on Thursday. So just a bit about like why I did it. When the news got leaked that the Supreme Court is on track to overturn Roe v. Wade, I could not sit there and do nothing about it. You know, it just seems so wrong to me that these people in power had control over my body, and that in the near future, my rights could be taken away. So it's just, yeah. And so I felt the need to, you know, organize people from my generation, young people, to fight for our futures. Students especially have a really important role in this fight, in this movement. We have access to like each other every day. We have access to just our energy, our youth. And you know, we're fucking angry. We're fucking angry, and we're gonna show up. We're gonna show up in the streets, and we need to do that consistently. At our New York strike, we had a speak out at the end where people had shared their own stories and their own feelings.
Human rights, people! We deserve every single right to our body! Children should not be going through this! We should not be doing any of this! It is 2022, people! 2022! Thank you! We're here to fight for ourselves, for our rights, for our mothers, for our fathers, everyone. Because everyone deserves the right to their own fucking body.
And that was so powerful because a lot of students had told stories about how like older people had told them that they were too young to know about this or to like fight for this, and there's no such thing, you know, there's no such thing as being too young to fight for what you believe in, especially in this climate, because, you know, look what we're dealing with. So I'm calling on students, on educators, on professionals, anybody who feels that this is morally wrong. Like, we need your help. We need you to be out in the streets. Every Thursday, we are going to be out in the streets all throughout the country, not just in New York, everywhere. And like, we won't stop until we have autonomy over our own bodies.
Thank you for that. And we're going to bring up Zoe, who is also one of the leaders of Rise Up for Abortion Rights, the youth and students, another high school student. Zoe.
I have also been a part of this movement since about January. I was shocked to hear this news, and I couldn't fathom how people weren't even talking about it. And so we'd go into the streets, tell people, but it felt like nobody was listening. And then just this week, people started listening, and it felt so amazing. Everybody suddenly was talking about it. And so we had this idea to do walkouts, because if you're forced to have a baby, a lot of people have to like drop out of college and drop out of high school because they have to be forced to carry this baby. And so that is kind of the symbolism that this is what would happen if Roe is overturned, and also just rebelling against an oppressive system too. And we are going to keep walking out every single Thursday until abortion is safe and legal for every person with a uterus. Every Thursday, until we get what we want. And yeah, because this is an emergency. We cannot wait. It is so scary, all of what is happening right now. And we can't wait to vote. We can't wait for the people in power to like make policies in several months. We can't afford to lose Roe a single day. And that is why we are taking to the streets. School striking, walkouts, and also general other protests too. And we will be there every Thursday until we get what we want, until we get safe and legal abortion for every person with a uterus. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Zoe, very much. I want to now introduce, as Bela had begun to, Lori Sokol, who is the Executive Director of Women's E-News. She is also one of the initiators of RiseUpForAbortionRights.org. Lori, welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for your heartfelt speeches. It's very clear that this decision would be an assault on reproductive justice and the bodily autonomy of women, transgender, and non-binary persons across the country. But there's more. Republicans are moving closer to utter control of every part of our lives based on these extreme beliefs, from banning books to banning school curricula on Black history under the guise of racist bans of critical race theory, to banning transgender girls and women from school sports, to banning discussions of sexual orientation or gender identity in schools. This is already happening in states in our country. Now they are telling us that the next go, clearly, is to ban abortion, curtail access to birth control, ban marriage equality, and even criminalize being gay. This is what's at stake. So that's why every Thursday, beginning with this past Thursday, Rise Up for Abortion Rights is asking people to walk out from work, from schools, to walk out to show that we are trying and will do everything we can to put a stop to this impending decision. It has been mentioned before that other reproductive rights organizations are working within the framework that it's already done. And what are we going to do after in a post-Roe era? Well, it's not done. It's not done if we step out into the streets, not just once, not just twice, but constantly, continually in greater force for the next weeks and months to try to curtail this assault on women's reproductive rights. And clearly that's why we're wearing the green bandana, although I'm not wearing mine now, but I will be in a couple of days, and certainly on May 14th during our major rally in New York City, because we have to look at our Latina sisters in Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, et cetera, who were able, in these Catholic-run countries, right, who were able to decriminalize abortion in these countries by stepping out and stepping up and millions into the streets. And that's what we need to do. No complacency. We need to show what we're made of and that we're not going to take this. And this may be our very last opportunity to do so. So thank you everyone for supporting us. And we hope we'll see you out there in the streets along with us. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Patricia Wallen, a leader in the Chicago chapter of Rise Up for Abortion Rights. Patricia?
Hi, thank you, Lori. Yes, so my name is Patricia Wallen, and I'm an activist from Latin America. I was born in El Salvador. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the symbolism of the green bandana and why it is so important that we help to spread the green wave here in the US. So the green bandana is the symbol that women in Argentina started to use when they had to start marching and demanding by the thousands their right to legal, safe, and free abortion. So they took it to the streets wearing green bandanas, you know, and just recently in 2020, they won the right for abortion. So I just wanted to share that this symbol was born from the Argentinian women who in the late 70s went out to the streets wearing a white bandana when they were protesting because of the disappearance of their sons and their daughters during the dictatorship in Argentina back in the 70s. So now the women in Argentina, they have to go back again to the streets demanding this time for abortion rights. So they chose the color green for abortion rights instead of the white. So the green bandana and, you know, just wearing the color green in the shirts everywhere, really, it just has been taken up by other Latin American countries who are also fighting and demanding abortion rights, like Mexico, Colombia, Chile. You can see here, I have this picture. This was taken in Mexico. So the symbol of the green bandana has transcended countries and languages. Women across Latin America and other countries as well are now united by the green bandana because, of course, that there can be different points of views and different causes, but right now, all women of the world, they have found common ground in the fight for the right to decide over what happens in our own bodies. So it doesn't matter where we live, we're united now and made stronger by this green symbol. And the green wave is growing now in the US. So You know, let's just wear our green bandanas. Let's show the world where we stand. Wear it everywhere. It's a symbol of unity and hope and strength. Because just like the women in Latin America, and just like Zoe just said to us, we will not stop fighting until the right to abortion can be guaranteed for everyone in the US. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. And I want to thank everybody, all the speakers so far, Bela, Zoe, Lori, Skylar, and I really want to appreciate everybody for tuning in. I know it is Mother's Day, and my love to everybody who has chosen to be a mother or a parent of any kind. And respect and appreciation for the right of women to decide not to be mothers, which is completely legit. And motherhood should be a choice. Parenthood should be a choice. So I want to appreciate everybody who made the time and everybody who tunes in after today, because we will be posting this. So a lot has been said, and I want to speak to the decisiveness of this moment that we're in. And there are times in history when literally the future hinges on what people do or don't do. There are pivot points. And we are in a moment right now on the cusp of one of the most significant reversals of a fundamental right in the history of this country, the most vicious, violent, and monumental assault on the rights and lives of women that we have ever lived through, and something that is a battering ram. The assault on abortion rights, if Roe is overturned, is a battering ram that will usher in a whole host of other assaults on the rights and lives of people across this country, oppressed people across this country, with ripple effects and frankly shockwaves around the world. After abortion, they're coming for contraception. They are coming for the rights of LGBTQ people. They are coming for the rights and the lives of Black people, of Latinos, of immigrants, of the science of climate change, of the teaching of basic truth and history. And this is a fascist juggernaut we are facing. So I want to be very clear at the stakes. The point has been made, and it cannot be made too strongly. It is far easier to protect a right while you still have it than to win it back after it has been lost. It is far easier. It is not going to be easy to stop the Supreme Court from decimating Roe versus Wade. They've written their draft. They have a majority who are fascist, stone cold fascist judges, 3 of them appointed by that fascist white supremacist pig, Donald Trump. So we should have no illusions that this will be easy. But again, it is not yet law. And right now, the whole country is riveting, is jolted by the shock of this news. We in Rise Up for Abortion Rights, since January, have been sounding the alarm on this. And some of us, myself included, others of our founders, have been sounding the alarm on this threat to women's fundamental right to abortion for much longer. We've been fighting it, but Rise Up for Abortion Rights came together after the Supreme Court heard this case in December. And it became clear, I listened to the entire argument from these judges. It was clear they were on track to decimate Roe versus Wade. So we formed this emergency response to bring everybody in, new and old, different perspectives, to say we have to get out in the streets and stop this right from being taken away. We do that through mass struggle, through mass nonviolent resistance. So we formed in January and we organized a protest on Roe versus Wade anniversary. It was a small group of us. Lori was there, others were there. Sam was there. There's people who were there. It was a small group of us. Then we called International Women's Day protests across this country. In a dozen cities, people came out. Hundreds came out in several cities. It was important. And then in April, we called protests again, and we planned this week of action. We knew what was coming, but the country did not yet know. One of the biggest obstacles we came up against is the country, including the people whose lives will be shattered and decimated, had no idea that this right was under attack. They had no idea what the Supreme Court was on track to do. It was not being covered in the media. The alarm was not being sounded by the Democratic Party. They can't even say the word abortion. And the mainstream women's movement, the so-called leaders, of the so-called women's movement were largely silent, and to the degree they spoke on this, they were almost universally preparing for post-Roe, preparing to raise money to help people travel who need abortions, preparing by fighting for defensive legislation in a few states that are blue for after Roe falls. They were preparing for this fall rather than sounding the alarm and mobilizing people to fight. We were alone in that. That's why we formed RiseUpForAbortionRights.org. But last Monday night, as I said in that speech, the whole world heard about this. That leaked memo is a gift. Whoever did it, for whatever intentions, this is giving clear as day, woke everybody across this country up to the threat to women's lives, to women's fundamental humanity and ability to control their lives, their destinies, their bodies, their health, their reproduction, and their very existence as human beings, full human beings in the eyes of the state was under threat. And not only that, a warning which Lori Sokol has been very, very strong in sounding, which very few other people were recognizing and calling out, is that with Roe, a whole host of other rights are also on the line. So this was made clear. Millions know this now. Millions are talking about this now. So now is the time when millions have woken up for us to put our foot on the accelerator of the mass struggle and mass resistance to demand in the streets, overturn Roe, hell no. Overturn Roe, hell no. Stop the US Supreme Court from decimating abortion rights. Stop it now. And the way we do this is mass struggle in the streets on such a level of disruption, on such a level of mass outpouring, on such a level of bringing society to a halt, bringing business as usual to a halt, forcing everybody to pick a side and show where they stand. Because if they do, we are the majority. And we can create the level of political crisis, not that persuades Amy Coney Barrett or Samuel Alito or Kavanaugh or Clarence Thomas, not that wins them over or changes their heart, but that creates the kind of crisis where the Supreme Court, including the fascists who sit on it, and every other ruling institution in this society has to reckon with the fact that their legitimacy in the eyes of the people across this country and in the eyes of the world, including rival governments and other governments, allies and foes, will be in shreds if they go forward with this. That they will be doing this in the face of the popular, massively asserted, determined fighting will of the people. And that matters when Texas decimated abortion rights there last September and gutted abortion rights through an illegal and unconstitutional, let me put it that way, an illegitimate vigilante law, and ended abortion rights virtually entirely in Texas. And people across this country were silent and went along with that. It gave a green light to the fascists to scale up and put their foot on the accelerator and speed 100 miles an hour after the rights and the lives of women across this country. And that's exactly what they've done. And it was a test balloon to the Supreme Court and every other ruling institution that they could get away with this without a political cost. And that's the calculus that we have to change. It will not be easy. But we have right on our side, and we have the lives of millions and millions and millions of women and girls, and the stakes this will mean for LGBTQ people and for the lives and the rights of so many others who can be awakened and aroused right now. We have so much fury that can be marshaled, so much upheaval that we can bring, political, nonviolent, yes, but massive and determined and relentless if we dare, and now is the time to do it. There is no do-over. You lose this right, it will not be easier later. So this is why we need to raise the slogan. There are two big take-homes I want to deliver today. The slogan, overturn Roe, hell no, stop the Supreme Court from decimating abortion rights. This is a draft, it is not yet law. We need to hammer this. It needs to be in our signs, in our speeches, in our social media, everywhere. Stop the Supreme Court from overturning Roe. Overturn Roe, hell no. We're drawing a line. 2, we do that through mass struggle in the streets, nonviolent, the walkouts every Thursday from school and work. The banner drops, green bandana banner drops, popularizing this symbol. The wearing of green every single day, the bandana showing and forcing others to show which side they're on. The mass protests we are calling on May 14th, and others are calling them as well, which is very important. We need to bring this spirit in and draw this line. And I want to echo something that Lori said that is profoundly important. I spoke earlier about the fact that we formed RiseUpForAbortionRights.org because no one in the official women's movement was calling on people to stop this right from being decimated. They were instead preparing. They were speaking out against it. Some of them were, bemoaning it. I don't think any of them want to see it. I'm not questioning their intentions or their hearts, but they were largely preparing for it. And that remains the case. And this is very important. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It's so essential that the Women's March and Planned Parenthood and other groups are calling protests this Saturday, May 14th. It's crucial. It is also still the case that they are putting forward in the main, preparing to be sanctuary states, preparing to welcome people after Roe is overturned, and quote unquote, promising to hold officials accountable after Roe is overturned. And it is important. There's beautiful work that's being done by those who are funding abortions and helping women and others travel who need abortions now and who will in the future. That is an invaluable service. Abortion providers and those who help people get abortions, it's invaluable, but it is not a strategy to defeat this assault. And so this demand, RiseUpForAbortionRights.org has raised, overturn Roe, hell no, and the demand on ourselves and each other and society that everybody rise up in sustained protest in the streets, in the workplaces, in the arts, in the sciences, and we do it now like the future and lives of women and girls everywhere depends on it, because it does. This is a unique message and mission that we are bringing and infusing into this broader outpouring. And I think it is very welcomed by many. We're not in opposition or competition with anybody else, but we are bringing something unique. And with that, I want to really welcome all the people who have tuned in from Tennessee, from Texas, from Arkansas, from all over the country. I'm seeing these messages. It's beautiful. If you're new to this and you're hosting a protest, we have resources for you on our website. Send us your questions, your challenges. We will give you our best answers and we'll work together to solve them. But the most critical thing is now is the time to step up and put it on the line to defend Roe v. Wade, to defend abortion rights, to stop the female enslavement that forced motherhood is, and the nightmare that an overturning of Roe would bring to so many other oppressed people across the board. So this is our time, and we have to really go for it, like with all we've got. So I wanted to provide that as an anchor for everything we're doing. We have 2 more voices we want to bring, but before we do, we have footage of the student walkouts. This was put together by the RNL, the Revolution Nothing Less show, which is the show I co-host on YouTube. I want to thank the Revolution Nothing Less crew for editing it, but this is some footage from around the country of some of the student walkouts last Thursday. And then we're going to bring 2 of the students in to give you a little bit more of why they had the courage to do this and why they're going forward with it. So let's watch that video and then I'll introduce them.
The cards and the legislator! The cards and the legislator! I am not an incubator! I am not an incubator!
The Supreme Court has the audacity to overturn Roe versus Wade. That is going against the will of the majority of the American people. That is an assault on democracy, and that is an affront to the American people.
Leaked draft decision is not yet law, and we must prevent it from becoming law. And the only way we do that is taking to the streets in mass to sustain nonviolent protest.
This is a movement that needs to be addressed now. We cannot sit by, we cannot wait, and it's not going to be convenient. We are going to have to make small sacrifices from our everyday lives in order to make this happen. But rather those small sacrifices than sacrificing the right to our own bodies and to deciding what our future is going to be.
But if women don't have this fundamental right to abortion, they are nothing more than enslaved to their reproduction. And this is what
emailed my teacher to be here, telling him I was not going to be in class today. I told him I'm going to a protest, and keep in mind, class is mandatory. So next time, tell your friends, email your teachers, tell them I have somewhere to be that is not your class, somewhere that is for myself and for my rights. Thank you.
100 students at Northview Middle School in Ankeny walked out of class this afternoon.
Abortion saves lives! Abortion saves lives! Rise up for abortion, rights for abortion, rise up for abortion, rights for abortion, rights, rise up! Rise up! Rise up for abortion, rights for abortion, rights, rise up! Rise up! Family, get your people that you know that you're close with to stand up and make their voice heard, because I swear to God, we will be out here every day until that majority opinion changes. Our body, our soul! Not the church, not the state. People will decide.
I came here because I'm a 15-year-old girl in New York City and my rights are being threatened. And I came here because I'm hoping to not allow these government officials who think they have control over my body to do what they're doing and take us back 50 years of fighting.
We won't go back! We won't go back! I can tell you, there's only one way that we're going to lose. If we go home and stay silent. Are we going to do that? No!
Right now, I'd like to bring in, and I also see there's a lot of people saying there's no protests in my state, and somebody responded and said, please register one. You can host one. We'll give you resources to do so. That's true, and we'll work with you. So I'd like to bring up Noah and Kelsey. Kelsey is a middle school student who you just saw in that news coverage. She led a walkout in Ankeny, Iowa. It was beautiful, made the news. We want to hear from you. And Noah is a high school student who is also organizing in California and led a walkout. And I'd like to give Kelsey, if you want to go first, talk a little bit about why you did it and what you want to share.
Yep. Like stated, I led the protest in Ankeny, Iowa. We made it on the news. And I really just was motivated to organize this because I myself and like a lot of my other friends, we were sexual assault survivors. And I know that abortion is very, very important to those who are rape survivors because, I mean, that option needs to be available for those who do not want to carry their child's rapist or their rapist child, sorry. And also in my school, it's been a recurring thing that children my age and older, they have gotten pregnant, and them getting pregnant at such a young age when they're teenagers can affect their lives so much. And whether it's them having to drop out of school, it just changes their lives, and it can really affect them negative, and it really just shows that we as students, we have voices and that we need to use this, and we need to come out here and just make some noise. We need to tell government officials that we are not for this. We as women, we need to stand up and we need to fight. Thank you.
Hi. Hello, my name is Noah. I am a senior in high school. I'm 17 years old. And I joined the protest here in California last Friday, actually. I live in a small neighborhood city in LA. And where I live, it's more like of a Hispanic-based city. So like abortion and any political like views are very taboo and not really talked about. The reason why I chose to protest is because I myself am a trans man. So like when talking about abortion, I feel like there's not a lot of well, now there is, but before there was not a lot of inclusivity. And I myself also have a uterus, so this also affects me as a person, and so many other people who do not identify as female. And I'm also Mexican, how I've said. In my culture, things like abortion are like taboo and considered a sin. And how Kelsey has said, like sexual assault and rape is like very normalized. And this is just like something that affects so many people. Like this doesn't just have to be about like sexual assault or rape. Like this could be like so many other factors of why like abortion is like should not be taken like away from people. And also I would like to bring awareness within my culture, within my city, and like the people surrounding me, because I myself am very new to this. I'm basically learned. I've always like been supportive of like abortion and stuff, but I never really went full into depth of it. I just kind of knew about it. I always supported it. But now that I joined this protest and I'm like here right now, like I've learned how serious this really is, and you just can't stay silent anymore. This is something that really, really affects millions of people, and this could forever like change like everything. So yeah, that's why I'm here. And also in my school, when we went to protest to my school, my principal let people like the students walk out, but he said that we're gonna suffer consequences, like the underclassmen will suffer of suspension or like just like getting suspended or expelled. And me as a senior, my principal said that I could possibly get my graduation taken away because I participated in a protest, which I myself find very stupid. And I think they could really not do that because I have my own rights. So if I do get expelled or I get my graduation taken away, this just shows how like close-minded my city really is and how much awareness I would like to bring into this, because this not only affects, like how I said, the people around me, this also affects me a lot. And I was willing to risk my graduation to speak up about these things. I'm tired of being silent, and I'm tired of just like being shut down every time I try to like speak up on something. And honestly, I was very, very scared to come here and just overall just protest in the first place, because I usually don't really like speak out. I'm just very close. But how I said, this is just very, very important to me, and I cannot stay quiet. I cannot just stay in one place anymore. I need to do something about it. And if it means being here, and if it means like just like fighting, literally fighting with like people against everyone, like I will do it. And I would 100% protest again. I will lead my own protest just so I could bring more awareness into this. And yeah, thank you.
Kelsey, Noah, first of all, and Noah especially, you should know in the comments as both of you are speaking, people are saying you are champions, you're so inspiring. It's so crucial Young people have always been on the forefront of every significant movement for social change, every successful movement. And it is so crucial. Right now, the anti-abortion movement likes to say the youth are pro-life, quote unquote, the pro-life generation. It is essential that young people rise up and be on the forefront of this movement and raise your voices as you have. I want you to know that any repercussions, we cannot say that there won't be sacrifice. There will be sacrifice in any struggle, there always is. But we can say that we need to have each other's backs, and we need to create a movement starting now with you and others and everybody tuned in, where any attack on anybody who stands up becomes more people rallying to your defense and joining this cause. And every attack needs to be part of strengthening the movement, drawing more people in and having each other's backs and showing others that if you join this, you won't be alone. So I just want to say that that was voiced in the comments as you were speaking. And I wanted to ask you each to just in closing, give a message to, I know there's a lot of young people who have tuned in, and some of them are just like you, Noah and Kelsey. They've never done anything like this before. They're scared. They're outraged, they're learning, they don't have all the facts. You don't need to know everything to know enough to stand up, but I wonder if there's any message you want to share to somebody who's new doing this for the first time. Kelsey, you want to go first?
Sure. So this is actually the second protest I've organized in my school. The first one was for sexual assault awareness. And I understand how scary it can be getting repercussions from whether it's your school or your friends or just being outcasted or people making fun of you. But in the end, it does not matter what people think about you, about what they're saying about why you're doing this or anything like that. It matters that you're standing up for yourself or for the cause that you're just supporting. Like said, there's always going to be setbacks when you're fighting for things like this, but you just have to keep pushing forward, and you have to just keep your head up overall. We just need to stand up for what's right, no matter what people are saying about us or just being rude in general. We just need to keep our head up.
Thank you, Kelsey. Noah?
I agree with what Kelsey said. Also, like, learning and just knowing your rights, because this is actually my first protest, how I said, and I've known my rights, but I didn't really think about it that much until my principal started saying that, like, my graduation was gonna get, like, I was not gonna graduate and stuff. Just knowing your rights and safety, like safety is like a very key component into it. Because actually on Friday, this person came up to us and like started screaming to us and like telling us a bunch of stuff. And it almost got physical, but luckily like one of the leaders was there to help us and stuff. So it's very important to learn about like your safety and your rights in case like someone, the police or your principal tells you something, because also the police try to stop us multiple times. But the principal from the other school was letting the students out. So we were just like, they literally let people out. So yeah, so just, that's very important. And also I know that it's very, very scary, especially if you're doing it alone or if you're alone from like one single school. But just know that there's a lot of people that will support you. I was very amazed to see how many people actually supported me. And it was just like a very freeing, liberating feeling. So I very much so encourage you to do it. And if you're like scared, just push yourself and it's gonna be okay. This is like a good cause and I hope that it turns out well.
All right, well, listen, Noah, Kelsey, we want to hear more from you going forward. And I think those are invaluable lessons and an example, moral example. And it is liberating to stand up. It is liberating to not be silent, and it is liberating not just for you. And it feels good because it's about something that's bigger than yourself. And in the world today, so much individualism, so much me, so much selfie culture, so much can't be bothered. It's a narrow, vacuous, empty, and frankly, sad state of the culture, the world, and it's bad for everybody. It doesn't feel good. Standing up and rising up, even though there's risk involved, even though it can be scary, it feels good because it's actually something that matters. And there's strength, and it's contagious. And if you want others to be strong, you have to be strong yourself. And I think you guys are an example of that. And I salute you on behalf of myself and everybody in the comments. And I really encourage everybody tuning in to draw from that example and find your own courage and strength in whatever form that takes, in the streets, in your professional communities, in your religious communities, wherever you can speak out and be an anchor. And we're going to be finding the platforms. There already are collective Zooms for students across the country that RiseUpForAbortionRights.org has been organizing to talk with each other and strategize together, to learn from each other, to have each other's backs. We need to do that for people organizing protests. We're going to develop more forms like this. This is a one-directional Zoom because we wanted to embrace everybody who is new and have a chance for everybody to be able to listen in, but we'll find other forms. And write to us at info@riseupforabortionrights.org, register at our website, and we will be finding the forms for that. We have two more things we want to share. We are going to move forward quickly. Patricia, perfect timing. Somebody type, yes, hit that donate button. Here's Patricia on the donations.
Yeah, so hello again. And like I shared earlier, I'm originally from El Salvador, and I just wanted to share with you why this movement is so important. You know, I have been denouncing the restrictive laws of abortion already in place in El Salvador, where I come from, where abortion is 100% prohibited and criminalized in every circumstance. And that means that, for example, it doesn't matter if the life of a pregnant person is at risk, the government will not allow that person to have a safe abortion. And there are women in prison right now serving sentences of 30 or more years because they have been accused of having an abortion when they have had a miscarriage. So I have been speaking out against the horrors that women in El Salvador are facing because of the criminalization of abortion that's there already. And I am outraged that now I have to be doing this in the US because there are people in power that are planning laws to take away the right to abortion here in the US. So let me tell you that I felt so thankful when I found this group, Rise Up for Abortion Rights, because I see how this group works tirelessly every day to help us get organized and to rise up so that we in the US do not have to go backwards. And I just want to tell you that they just can't do this alone. They need our financial support as well, and that these dangerous laws, they impact the lives of people living in poverty. They impact the most vulnerable. They impact immigrants, Black women, other people of color. You know that this is also a threat against access to contraception, on LGBTQ people, on marriage equality, and just so much more. And that's why you are here, because you understand the urgency of this fight. And lots of people are asking, how can they help? And not everyone can be at every action and every march, but we can always donate money. Every amount helps, and money is needed so that we can keep moving, because now more than ever, we cannot go backwards in this country. We need money for making prints, posters, photocopies, bandanas, and everything costs money, and you already know this, and you know that everything just adds up. So our goal right now is to raise $50,000 by May 17th. And we have already raised $11,000 in the first 2 days. So, all of this will be impossible without financial resources. So make a donation online, and you know that all donations funds to this campaign are being used to organize all of these Rise Up for Abortion Rights actions. And also, if you want to join the fundraising teams, you can join us this Monday, the 9th at 7:30 p.m. So email us to get the Zoom link. The email, we can put it in the chat, but it's donations@riseupforabortionrights.org. So everyone, please just go to our website, the riseupforabortionrights.org. They have all the convenient ways and easy ways that you can support this movement. So do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia, and thank you to everybody who's putting in the chat that they just donated. I want to keep the donations coming. We have a short video about banner drops, which is part of the Week of Action. The Week of Action starts today. There were Mother's Day protests across the country, die-ins, many of them at churches, repressive, patriarchal, anti-abortion churches. There will be actions all week long. The whole calendar is at riseupforabortionrights.org. One of the things being called for is banner drops all week long. So let's play that video real quick.
Rise for Abortion Rights is doing a week of action. Roe will not be overturned. People have the power to prevent Roe from being overturned. A simple and effective way is to do banner drops over the freeway. All you need is a group of people, an old bedsheet, and some paint. Green is highly suggested, but please use anything that you have. Overturn Roe? Hell no. Spread the word. May 14th. Protest in the streets. Forced motherhood is female enslavement. All that's left is to securely fasten it to the overpass of a freeway and you're done. Get out there and protest, May 14th.
Okay, beautiful. I'd like to have Skylar come back on and we're going to close out together. Skylar?
Hello again.
Do you have any next steps that you wanted to announce, chapter meetings? I know we don't have, there's a lot of people tuned in, not in any of the places with chapter meetings planned, but you can invite those that you do know about, and we can talk about everybody else in a second. Go ahead.
Yes, there will be chapter meetings taking place on separate Zooms after this meeting is completed. So there is going to be one with New York, which their information has been posted in the chat. And then there is also going to be a Los Angeles chapter meeting starting at 3:30. The information is also in the chat. For anyone who's interested in learning more, maybe you can't come to the meeting for Los Angeles, you are welcome to visit us on Instagram, which is Rise, the number 4 Abortion Rights LA. You can send us a DM and get in contact with some of our organizers so we can bring you in to volunteer and get involved however you can.
And I know there's a Chicago meeting happening right after. If you are not in one of the areas where there is already a chapter, that is great. That is so important, and we want that. I know there have been over 40 cities around the country that have registered RiseUpForAbortionRights.org protests on May 14th, and we'll be doing actions throughout the Week of Action. We have, I hope everybody registered to be part of the Zoom. We have resources on our website. We also know there are going to be challenges you run into that are not addressed on our website. Send us your questions, send us your ideas. Most of all, send us footage and photos of what you are doing. We will promote it, and people have said, I need to find other people in my area. We are connecting people every day who reach out to us from different cities. Other people in your areas are reaching out. We will put you in touch. And if you get out there publicly, if you raise a stink right now, especially what Noah said, what Kelsey said, even in places where it's deeply anti-abortion, deeply red states, red areas, if you raise your voice right now, there are people who are burning with outrage, who are looking for an outlet, who are looking for you to act so they can join with you. There are people who remember the loved ones, the family, the friends who died in the back alleys and the emergency rooms before Roe. There are 1 in 4 women across this country whose lives and accomplishments or mere survival has hinged on access to abortion that is now hanging by a thread. There are people of all genders and nationalities and backgrounds who recognize that women are full human beings, not incubators, and that if Roe falls, the rights of so many other people are on the line, and Black people, people of color, poor people are going to be disproportionately affected. Now is the time to speak full-throatedly, to have the courage of our convictions, to stand up like the future depends on it, because it absolutely does. And now is the time to stop the Supreme Court. Stop the Supreme Court from overturning Roe v. Wade, from slamming history backwards and accelerating a whole fascist nightmare. If we rise up now, not only do we have a fighting chance, a beautiful chance, the most realistic chance to stop a crime in the making, a crime we've been given the privilege of knowing is coming in advance with the time to stop it, and a crime that we also have the gift that there is an organization and a movement that has been on the ground and has developed the program and the message and the organizing tools to stop this, that saw it coming and is out there and is inviting you in. We not only have the chance to stop this with all the beauty and the horror that, with all the horror that would prevent, we also have all the beauty that would bring into being, because there is a beautiful future that we only forge by standing up together, where we model the unity, the love for each other, the respect for women and differently gendered people, the treasuring of Black people, people of color, people who come from different parts of the world, who speak different languages, who treasure their lives and their rights. We forge that in the streets together by standing up and protecting them. And that's part of building the future that we want to live in. So there's a horror to prevent, and there's a beautiful world and future that fighting this will contribute to. So I just want to say, throw in with all you've got, donate as much as you can, stay in touch, and we're going to fight this out together, and it will go forward after the week. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the streets, and we'll see you in all these forums going forward.